You open your eyes, and the first thing you feel is the movement. A slow, deep swaying, as if the entire world were rocking. The smell hits you immediately. Wet hay, manure, damp wood, and something else. Something animal, primitive, overwhelming. You're lying on straw, in a dark space, barely lit by a crack in the ceiling. And then you hear it. Rain. But this isn't normal rain. It's a constant roar, deafening, as if the entire sky were emptying itself onto you. You stand up unsteadily and look around. Thick wooden walls, enormous beams, improvised pens, and in those pens, animals. 2 sheep here, 2 goats there, birds in wicker cages, and further ahead, in the shadows, larger shapes. Your heart stops. Are those lions? Elephants? You walk toward a small opening in the wall, a window sealed with pitch that barely lets in any grayish light. You force it open and look outside. What you see freezes your blood. There's no land, there's no horizon, only water. An infinite ocean of grey, furious water stretching in every direction as far as the eye can see. The rain falls with such violence that the water and sky seem to merge into a single liquid mass. And in the distance, far in the distance, something briefly emerges from the waves. Is that a mountain? No. It was a mountain, now it's just a rock slowly sinking beneath the waters. An older man approaches you, long white beard, deep eyes that have seen too much. You woke up, he says in a language you somehow understand perfectly. You've had a fever for 3 days. We thought you wouldn't survive. You ask the only question that matters. Where are we? He looks at you with a mixture of compassion and something like awe. On the Ark, he answers. The only place where life remains in the entire world. I am Noah, and outside everything else is dying. Your mind processes the information in fragments. You're on Noah's Ark, the Great Flood, the story you heard since childhood, the tale present in more than 200 cultures around the world. From the Epic of Gilgamesh to the traditions of Native Americans, the total destruction of humanity, and you're inside, alive, while outside, millions are dying. The question isn't whether you can save anyone. It's already too late for that. The question is whether you can psychologically survive being a witness to the apocalypse, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you that being inside the Ark isn't salvation. It's a floating prison where you'll have to face questions that destroy the soul. Why you and not them? Do you deserve to be here? And what kind of world will you find when the waters recede? Get ready, because this isn't a story of heroism. It's a story of survival in the most brutal sense of the word. It's your first conscious day on the Ark. 10 days have passed since the rain began. 30 remain before it stops. The first thing you discover is the reality of the space. The Ark measures approximately 450 feet long, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet tall. 3 floors. It sounds enormous until you consider what's inside. Thousands of animals, their provisions, drinking water, food for an entire year, and 8 people. Only 8. Noah and his wife, his 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, with their respective wives. And now you, the 9th, the stranger who appeared unconscious in the hold 3 days ago. No one knows where you came from. Noah believes you're a final act of divine mercy, a soul rescued at the last moment. The others aren't so sure. Ham, the middle son, looks at you with open distrust. How did you get here? The Ark was sealed. God himself closed the door. You have no answer, not one they could understand. And here's your first major obstacle. You have no history, no known family, no place in this micro-society that already has its defined roles. You're an intruder in the only refuge that exists. And in such a confined space, with such limited resources, an intruder can quickly become a threat. Noah's wife, whose name is never mentioned in the biblical texts, offers you unleavened bread and water. Eat, she says. You need strength. There's a lot of work, and she's not exaggerating. 3 days pass, 13 days of rain have gone by, 27 remain. The routine of the ark is exhausting. Each animal needs to be fed twice a day. The manure must be constantly removed, or diseases would spread within days. Rainwater is collected through channels in the roof, but it must be filtered. Ventilation is critical because the methane from the animals could suffocate everyone. You volunteer for the hardest tasks. It's your only way to gain acceptance. You clean the pens of the large animals, carry hay, repair the leaks that constantly appear in the hull, and while you work you hear them, the screams. At first you think it's the wind or the animals, but no, they're human voices. Outside, in the water, you run to the window and look. In the distance, clinging to a piece of floating wood, you see figures, people, arms waving, mouths open in screams that barely pierce the roar of the rain. Noah, you shout. There are people outside, survivors. The old man approaches slowly. He looks through the window. His face doesn't change. I know, he says. They've been there for days. There are fewer each time. We have to help them, you insist. We can't, he answers. What? We have space. We can. The door is sealed. His voice is flat, dead. God closed it. It can't be opened from inside. You stand frozen. Even if we could, Noah continues, it wouldn't change anything. The judgment has already been pronounced. Those people aren't meant to survive. No one is. Only us. You look through the window again. The screams continue. You can see a child no older than 10, clinging to his mother as both slowly sink, and you can't do anything. That night you don't sleep. The sound of the screams haunts you even after they finally stop, replaced by a silence that's worse, much worse. 17 days of rain have passed, 23 remain. The reality of the flood begins to crush you. According to biblical estimates, the world's population at that time was several million people. Entire cities existed, civilizations, children, elderly, innocents who never did anything wrong except be born in the wrong world. All of them are dying or have already died, and you're alive. The concept has a modern name, survivor's guilt. But on the Ark there are no psychologists, no therapy, no one who understands what you feel. Noah and his family accept the flood as divine justice. For them, those who die deserve to die. Humanity had become corrupt. Violence filled the earth. But you come from the future. You know about childhood innocence. You know that punishing millions for the sins of some is something humanity will eventually call unjust. And you carry that knowledge like a stone in your chest. Japheth, Noah's youngest son, sits beside you while you feed the birds. You look tormented, he says. How can you all be so calm, you ask. Outside, the entire world is dying. He's silent for a moment. You think we're calm. My father hasn't slept since it started. My mother cries every night when she thinks no one can hear her. Ham has nightmares. He screams the names of friends who no longer exist. He looks at you directly. We're not calm, we're surviving. It's different. It's the first time someone on the Ark shows you vulnerability, and you understand something crucial. You're not the only one suffering. You're just the only one who doesn't know how to hide it. 25 days of rain have passed. 15 remain. The Ark has found a rhythm. Tasks repeat with mechanical precision. Feed, clean, repair, sleep, repeat. It's exhausting but necessary. Without structure, madness would arrive quickly. But there are problems that routine can't solve. The drinking water is running out faster than expected. Some animals are getting sick, and the tension among the humans grows day by day. Ham confronts you one morning. You're one more mouth to feed, he says. You appeared out of nowhere. You don't contribute enough. You should have half the rations. Before you can respond, Shem intervenes. He works as hard as any of us. He deserves his share. Deserves? Ham replies. We don't know who he is. He could be a spy, a demon in disguise. Noah appears. His presence silences the argument. Enough, he says. As long as we're on this ark, we are family. There are no strangers here, only survivors. But you see the doubt in his eyes. Even he wonders who you really are. And here's the second major obstacle, the paranoia of enclosed spaces. Under extreme stress, with limited resources and no possible escape, humans look for scapegoats. Someone to blame, and you, the stranger with no history, are the perfect candidate. You decide you need to become indispensable in a way no one else can be. 30 days of rain have passed. 10 remain. Your modern knowledge finally finds application. You observe that several animals show signs of illness. Dull fur, lethargy, loss of appetite. You recognize the symptoms. Nutritional deficiency and confinement stress. You propose changes. Rotate the animals between pens to give them more space. Add salt to their water, an essential mineral they're not getting. Create exercise periods where the larger ones can move more freely under supervision. At first, Noah is skeptical. The animals have been like this since the beginning. It's God's will whether they survive or not. What if God's will is that we use our intelligence to care for them better? You respond. It's a bold argument, almost blasphemous. But Noah considers it. Try it with a small group, he finally says. If it works, we'll apply it to all of them. It works. Within a week, the animals treated with your method show visible improvement. Noah looks at you with new eyes. You're no longer just the stranger. You're useful. You're valuable. But Ham isn't convinced. Where do you get this knowledge? No man knows these things. Only angels or demons. The suspicion doesn't disappear. It only changes shape. 45 days have passed since the rain began. One morning you wake up and notice something different. Silence. The rain has stopped. You run to the window. The sky is still grey. Clouds still cover everything, but no water is falling. For the first time in more than a month, the world isn't screaming. Noah stands on the upper level, looking at the sky with tears in his eyes. It's over, he whispers. The rain is over. But the nightmare hasn't ended. Not even close. The waters still cover everything. No land is visible in any direction. The ark floats on an endless ocean, without references, without destination. According to the biblical account, the waters will take 150 days to begin receding, then several more months until the land is habitable. You're trapped. Alive, yes, but trapped in a world that no longer exists. Days become weeks, weeks become months. The routine of the ark continues, but something has changed in all of you. Hope has returned. Noah sends a raven to find land. The bird flies and flies, but returns. There's nowhere to land. 7 days later, he sends a dove. It also returns. 7 more days. The dove returns with an olive leaf in its beak. The ark erupts in shouts of joy. Noah's wife weeps openly. Shem embraces his father. Even Ham pats you on the back. There's land, Japheth shouts. The world is still there. But you look at the small olive leaf and think about everything that leaf represents. A world erased and beginning anew, civilizations lost forever, knowledge that will take millennia to rediscover, and 8 people, only 8, with the responsibility to rebuild everything. The magnitude of that task crushes you. 370 days have passed, more than a year. Finally, the ark comes to rest on the mountains of Ararat. Noah opens the door, that door that had been sealed since the flood began, and one by one, the animals descend toward a clean, empty world waiting to be repopulated. You're the last to leave. Your feet touch dry land for the first time in a year. The sun shines, the air smells of wet earth and new life. Birds sing in trees that are just beginning to recover. It's beautiful and devastating. Because as you look at the empty landscape, you can't help but think about what was there before. The cities, the temples, the laughter of children who no longer exist. All erased, all forgotten except in your memory as a time traveler. Noah builds an altar and offers sacrifice, According to the biblical account, this is when God promises never to destroy the earth with water again. The rainbow appears as a sign of the covenant. You look at that rainbow and feel something you can't name: hope, relief, or just the overwhelming weight of knowing that humanity will fail again, over and over, but will survive. Noah approaches you. "I never knew who you really were," he says. "Where you came from, why you appeared on my ark. Does it matter now?" You ask. "I suppose not." He looks toward the empty horizon. "But I'm glad you were here. We wouldn't have survived without your help with the animals. You saved more lives than you know." You want to tell him the truth, that you come from a future where this story is told to children, where the ark is a symbol, not a lived reality, where humanity has forgotten what it really means to be on the brink of extinction. But you don't. Some truths are too big to share. Waking up on Noah's Ark isn't waking up in a place of salvation. It's waking up as the only witness to a cosmic genocide. It's carrying the weight of knowing that millions died while you ate bread and cleaned manure. It's facing questions without answers about justice, innocence, and the right to survive. The flood appears in more than 200 cultures around the world. Sumerians, Babylonians, Hindus, Greeks, Chinese, Native Americans, they all have a version. Why? Perhaps because the fear of total destruction is etched into our collective DNA. Or perhaps because it really happened in some form, at some point, and the trauma was so great that we could never forget it. The lesson of the Ark isn't about deserving salvation. It's about what you do after you survive. Noah planted a vineyard. His sons repopulated the earth. Humanity continued. With all its flaws, with all its failures, but it continued. And maybe that's the only thing that matters. Not being perfect, not deserving salvation, just moving forward, rebuilding, trying again. You didn't save anyone outside the ark. You couldn't. The door was sealed and the judgment had already been pronounced. But inside the ark you kept animals alive that otherwise would have died. You helped people who distrusted you. You survived when giving up would have been easier, and when the waters receded, you stepped out into an empty world with the same question that has haunted every survivor of every catastrophe in human history. What now? The answer, as always, is the same. You keep walking. You keep building, you keep living, not because you deserve it, but because it's the only thing you can do. The rainbow shines over the mountains of Ararat, a promise that this will never happen again. But you know, coming from the future, that humanity will find other ways to destroy itself. Wars, plagues, bombs. And it will also find ways to survive, again and again, against all logic. That's the real miracle. Not the ark, not the rain, not the animals saved 2 by 2. The real miracle is that we're still here, after everything. Would you have the courage to wake up on Noah's Ark, knowing you can't save anyone outside? Could you live with that guilt, that weight, that silence after the screams? Leave me your answer in the comments. And if this video made you reflect on what it means to survive, on the price of salvation, hit like and subscribe to the channel for more journeys to the most extreme moments in history. Until the next video.